Good evening, everyone, and welcome to another weekend of painting. The intro music we just heard was the tune Secret Muse by my good friend Chilean. Check him out at Bandcamp or SoundCloud. He's on SoundCloud. What we're listening to now is Adrian Ziegler. His music is on YouTube, Spotify, and Bandcamp. Go support him, leave some likes, whatever, you know the drill. Today, if I can get my camera up and running and working. Maybe. That does not look good. Hang on. What did I do with the camera last time? Oh, right. I did that with my camera last time. Anywho, yeah, sorry about that. I forgot that I'd actually used it to try and take some photos of these and tinkered around with the settings for a bit. Exposure overload. Yeah. Well, I mean, we are painting a Christmas diorama, and there will be a lot of snow, so I figured white would be a good color. Anyway, let's see if this works better. I also need to. Sorry about the shakiness. Hopefully, we'll be there soon. Anywho, what we're working on today will be these ones here. Something's off. There we go. Height. We need height, so we can actually look down on things. These are Santa and his little helpers. And don't mind the spike. It is absolutely not for putting heads on. It's also a barrel I found. But basically, the entire diorama, I'll probably do a video when I'm done with it within the next few days. It's too large to actually work with on my normal work table. I would have to literally remove all my paint to fit the sheet. It's about as wide as this cutting board. So you go from one end all the way to the other. That's about the width and actually kind of depth of it as well. And then it's taller than it is deep. And that's because it's being built to fit into my barber's shelves. So she has some shelves next to her station, I think it's called. And yeah, I wanted to do some fun because they always do the most awesome Christmas and Halloween decorations. So anyway, I have been working a little bit on Santa and his helpers, but I kind of prioritized the actual diorama because there's a lot of waiting time for the paint to dry and glue that needs to dry and all those things. So anyway, what we have as well up there, we're gonna hit there. Yes, I have still paint on my hands. That is, this one is supposed to be the entrance hallway kind of thing to the to Santa's little house or whatever. It's gonna be the barbershop. I'm gonna put the name of the barbershop on top. It's out of the frame right now. With kind of a haphazard way of getting it shown here. But yeah, but it's I'll just move it around a little bit. Yeah, there's some loose connections because it literally just taped the wires onto a battery. Okay, some of it works, some of it doesn't. Don't really care. It kind of blinks once in a while. That's probably fine. I hope it doesn't do any kind of bad stuff. But hey, I like the glowing effect. That's kind of nice. But anyway, that's kind of be in the middle, but in the back, kind of half centerpiece-ish withdrawn. And then I'm gonna have some hill kind of stuff. It turned out to be sort of very square and angular after I did it, because building hills into a very rectangular box, well, mistakes were made. But the plan for these dudes here is basically just to, I mostly miss the faces, feet, and hands. I've been a little fast, I can see, so I probably need to clean it up a little bit. I'm mostly using speed paint with these ones here, because they give enough enough texture and shading. You see in some of the the hats they have on. The speed paint's given out of that for it to work. And since it's a diorama, I need to replace my wet palette. So it works good enough, but diorama, they're not the centerpiece. You look at the dudes here. Yeah, I mean, I can see it on the small monitor and a small window, so it's it works. But because I've been painting them rather quickly, I've also been a little messy, which means that I need to clean up their hands and feet a little bit, otherwise they're gonna have sort of red or green shadows underneath the speed paints. For those who don't know, speed paints are somewhere between paints and washes. But they're usually translucent, but they're not inks. Not all the way out to that. They're still fairly thick, but they flow and kind of find the pigments into the recesses. Originally my plan was to continue one of the NaNoWriMo minis from last week, but since I actually wanted to finish this and get this over with, I have to hand over the diorama Monday, and I'd ideally like to get all of this done. Yes! Welcome back to Modifian, and of course the first thing you do is notice that I cannot. I've deactivated the braiding stuff. Yes, because it ended up taking so much time, and I have stuff to do, and I don't actually have any hairbands nearby, so gonna have to be cheated out of it this time. But once I get back into a more regular schedule, they will be back. And also just a fair warning to everyone, Modifian is a little, shall we say, salty in some of her comments once in a while. I've known her for a long time. She's adorable, she's wonderful, so. And yes, and yes, Nina, beard braiding was actually a thing at some point. Also, could one of you wonderful people let me know if the music picks up through the microphone as well? I've rearranged my setup a little bit so I actually have headphones attached to the computer now. Then I turned up the volume so I can kind of hear the music in the background. But I do not want it to be picked up by the microphone, but I can't be asked to do your best. And yes, Modifian, every time you hit the points, you got them. Did you ever do a double braid? Or did you not have patience for that? And it is, by the way, so wonderful to have you back here. Sorry I did do the double braid. But I mean, whatever double braids I can do, just do not compete in any way with what one of my friends did for Copenhagen one year. She not only did a double braid, but she did like French braiding all the way up from almost the ears. Okay, so just turning down the normal volume of the music. So something like this. Thank you for the feedback. I appreciate it. So this guy here, tiny mouse with a big hammer, is actually not for the diorama. He's just hanging out with the elves. Thank you. Yeah, he looks good. I forgot to include the details on so many of them, so I also have to do small gift airplanes, toy planes, or the gifts, or one of them has a lamp even, and oh, so many things to paint, so little time. But hey, that's what we love, though, isn't it? So, one of the things that has been really cool working with this diorama is that I get to use a lot of techniques that I've been wanting to use for a really long time, but haven't actually gotten around to for various reasons. I've just been painting normal miniatures, or I've done other stuff. This time I just kind of went, what the hell, and gone all in with cutting the styrofoam. Sadly, only EPS, because that's kind of what I had. And XPS is horribly expensive in Denmark. So I just use EPS, which is fine, but it's just a little more difficult to work with. But over the last couple of days, I've finally gotten everything, well, not everything, clearly, since I'm painting these minis, but kind of the core of the diorama has been assembled. I got it sealed up with some Mod Podge paint mixture. I painted all of it, dry brushed it, so it's now a wonderful kind of brownish rock formation kind of look. I played around earlier today with mixing up some fake snow. Again, that's another thing I've been meaning to try out at some point. So I'm basically putting everything into play with this diorama, and while none of it is particularly difficult, it just takes a lot of time because I've never done it before. So there's kind of the whole learning curve of how to do all these things properly. And then me being me, I just decided in the middle of everything to also do the small entrance house you have on the small frame up top right. So yeah, that was kind of I had plans to do something like that, but doing all of that and adding the lights and everything was kind of like, no, why not? So the good thing about that is that I'm at the point where I kind of just do things instead of overthinking it too much. Still overthink a little, but not too much. So I kind of just did it and said, hey, we want an entryway. An entryway, that's a small house. A small house is basically a rectangle, a box or whatever, with slanted roof. I've got some shingles that I need to paint for the roof to make it a little prettier. And yeah, I think I did it yesterday in, probably took me way longer than I recall. But since I'm currently not really working, normal job type work, I do have the time for all of this. So I prefer just doing it at a nice slow pace, spending a little longer on every single step, but also kind of immersing myself a little bit more in it, especially when it's new techniques. So kind of play around with it a little bit, try it out, do a small test on whatever. Like earlier today, I spent maybe an hour or so just goofing around with baking soda, PVA glue, white paint, and a little bit of water, just to try different consistencies. And then during the afternoon and evening, I watched how it dried up and how fluffy it all looks and stuff like that. So I think I came up with I'm not gonna say with a good mix, because I don't really have the recipe for it, but I got to where I could find a good consistency that I should be able to reproduce, and it dries up in a nice way that I like. So yeah. So what have you been up to? By the way, Modifian, I highly recommend also following Nina. She also does art on Twitch. She's a full-time illustrator and artist, doing some lovely pumpkin drawings. It's called drawings or paintings. I don't know. But anyway, they look good. Give her a follow. I'd appreciate it. But I'm sure she will as well. But don't be snarky to her. She's a good person. She's a kind person and a good person, unlike me. So you yell at all you want at me, but not at her. Modifian says, in a similar vein, been trying to stop multitasking to focus on one thing without the distraction of YouTube or podcasts or something to let my brain be quiet and focus on my task. I found that I have so many more creative ideas when I give my brain space. You can be the nicest fucking person in the world, Dirk. Yes, I know you can. I'm just worried that you don't want to. Nah. It's cool though. Modifian and I, we always just teach each other. It's fine. So yeah, but I get you on the not multitasking thing. It depends a lot on what you're doing. When I'm doing stuff like this, painting, yeah, that's good advice from Nina. Just be yourself always. No, I mean, not when I'm painting or something like that. I can't do a podcast if it is fiction. I follow some friends from the Corrigible Party who have a podcast where they sort of retell, but they've recorded their D&D adventures. Super fun, super great. Highly recommended. But I can listen to stuff like that when I'm painted because it doesn't really matter if my attention breaks a little bit either from painting or away from the podcast. Both works fine. But if I have to actually do work like programming stuff or whatever, I cannot have anyone talking in the background. Some music is fine, stuff like what we're listening to now, really great. But I cannot have anyone actually speaking in the background while I'm trying to think. I used to be able to do that, back in high school or whatever. But yeah, no more. I'm getting old. And yes, good call, Nina. Oh, what was it you don't believe is Modifian? I mean, I think Modifian has played so much Among Us that she is just automatically suspect. Modifian says, short talk 2, like what does it matter when I'm cleaning, but my therapist suggested trying not having anything, and I did, and it really did free up something in my head to a quiet, bored time. Yeah, I think that's a good way of looking at it, because if your mind is not focusing on something externally, then it makes sense, now that you write it, that then it starts actually working internally. Is that a good way of saying it? You actually use your brain for your own stuff instead of focusing on other people's stuff, what you're listening to or whatever. But what about music? Is that also distracting you? and I have not actually thought about these models until now. It is not this part of it. For some reason, I decided not to give them shoes. I'm guessing music was a lot. I've been finding some really fun, angry, feminist anthems. Paris Paloma has amazing lyrics. Cool. Yeah, drop a link in chat to Spotify or YouTube or whatever. I mean, I haven't removed you as a mod, so you should be able to post links. Or maybe I'm just saying that to get you auto-banned. And Ren is amazing. Who's Ren? What did I miss? Yeah, you have the power. You still have the green sword. Now, the really good thing about Pontifian is that she would never ever allow the power to go to her head. She would never, you know, scream in chat or flaunt it in front of other people or anything like that at all. She's so sweet and kind. She's literally like a lamb. Ren is a Welsh artist. I'll send you some links. He's really great with the performance art, spoken word, rap, good style, but also amazing in actual musicality and musical production skills. Cool. Yeah, true, Modivian. Your ADHD is holding you back from total world domination. Fun fact, back in university I used to have a long sleeve that said total world domination on front, I think it was, and I had the small Linux penguin, Linux the operating system, had the Linux penguin on the back, up in the neck. But you know, if you ever do go for total world domination, just know that I'll happily vote for you as dictator. Okay, so there's going to be a small Easter egg, well, probably several small Easter eggs in the diorama, because the barrel I'm painting here is from some kind of fantasy war game setting. I'm guessing something like that, which means that it has the white spots here are Maltese crosses with a skull in it. That's not usually something you'd consider for Christmas decorations. Well, except probably most of the people I know would actually consider that. But I'm not gonna say anything to my barber. I'm just gonna leave it in, and then maybe someone notices. Maybe no one does. It's just a small barrel somewhere hiding out. So, okay. So for the skin, I'm just gonna go really quick again. Oh, Modifian, we have new tools that you haven't seen. I actually now live stream a heart, which is fidget popper, as they're called. And so I pop them out, and I use them for the speed paint because they don't do well on a wet palette. But the good thing about these poppers is that it's silicone, so you can see just once it's dried, it just pops clean off, except for a little bit around the edges. But a quick rinse in water and that's fine. It's got plenty of spaces for all the different paints, so that's good. So just plop down some Crusader skin from Army Painters Speed Paint 2 range. They did Speed Paint 1, that already was not. Ooh, yeah, so your daughter uses fidget poppers as well. Well, it's just we just need to teach her how to paint miniatures. Just use it. As you see here, just use a small, what they call the actual poppers, to hold the paint. Now I thinned this down a little bit with the speed paint medium, just to show you a little bit of the process. I said these are the speed paint 2.0 that I decided to give a go. I tried the first batch they made, the first line they made, and had huge problems with reactivation. I can also see that these are going to be some very, very pale elves if I do it like this. So this new plan, let's not do it like this. Maybe try it undiluted. But yeah, the first batch, they had reactivation. So if you drew or painted with one color and then later came back to paint a nearby area with another color, if you get just a little bit of overlap, the second color would reactivate the first color. And since these paints are designed to seep into recesses, they would just blend like crazy. And while they did get some really, really beautiful painting, blending results, it's not really what you need if you're trying to make blue pants and a yellow shirt or whatever it is I tried to do. That kind of just ended up being mostly green, which sucked. Why is this so thin? I mean, I know they're supposed to be translucent. Oh well, anyway, they live on the North Pole. They don't get a lot of sun, especially this time of year, so they're just gonna have to be super pale. So yeah, so that was the first batch. And then 6 months ago, I think, earlier this year, they released their new line of speed paints, Army Painter. And I figured, hey, let's give it a go, because there were some talks about them fixing specifically the reactivation problem, and it seems like they did. So I am now happy because it lets me do super quick paint jobs, at least by my standards. I know other people paint so much faster than me, but hey, that just means that they can do even faster paint jobs with the speed paints, and they are good enough for me for adding to dioramas like this. I think it's good enough quality, and for doing, if you're doing armies, rank and file troops or whatever, then it works well. Wouldn't use it. Well, I mean, other than if you want the specific effect they give, which is always an option. And I wouldn't use it for a centerpiece for an army or anything. Maybe if I really actually finish all of this tomorrow, like I hope, I may print a new Santa and give him a little bit more attention to detail over the weekend. We'll have to see how it goes. But yeah. Ooh. Amy. Yes, Amy, this is the Christmas scene. I'm afraid M is the mini I painted on last week, which is for me, who just showed up in chat, one of the Danish diorama authors this year. But yeah, I kind of need to get the diorama done. These are gonna look super creepy. Come on, focus. But anyway, yeah, but I need to finish it and deliver it on Monday, so I'd rather get the painting here done today, and then I can always finish your miniature next week. So yeah, but if that's interesting that Helene wants to try her hand at mini painting. If only she knew someone who actually painted miniatures. Good thing we live in the world of YouTube, where you can find an amazing amount of tutorials for this, which you actually can. That part was not sarcasm. I suggest Goobertown Hobbies or Sorastro or Miniac. There's also Lila Mew. There's Ninjon. Yeah, lots and lots of people doing it. But I definitely suggest Goobertown Hobbies. He's super calming to listen to, and he's got what I still consider the best beginner's tutorial that just slowly takes you through the entire process without being 2 hours long. So, and shows you different places going, okay, so you can stop here and it's going to be a fine result, but you could also add a little bit more highlighting or whatever. So you kind of have different levels he shows how to paint. So yeah. That elf definitely turned people into Xmas hams. What? Oh yeah, you mean with the the creepy face? Absolutely. So. So yeah. Anyway, cheers. By the way, if I actually finish these elves quickly enough, I have the roof made of shingles for the small house thingy that's up in the right corner. That's kind of the plan, to add that on top. Dry brush it with, guessing, brown up to red to kind of get a sort of burnt clay shingles kind of look to it. And as I mentioned, we have the snow. I've done so much work with the light diodes. It didn't help that I burned off half of them or so last week. Everything worked they work probably. I short-circuited something that should not be possible because of the way LEDs diodes work. There's not enough voltage to burn them off. Even if I connected them the wrong way around, so you get, you know, plus to minus, minus to plus. That's exactly what diodes can do. They can prevent the current from going the quote-unquote wrong way. So that will also not burn them off. The only thing I can think of would be if the resistors that were built into the... I bought some small kits that have you know, very small 1mm diode with a resistor attached to it from the factory. So if there had been some kind of short circuit in that, then it would make sense that they burned off. But I cannot for the life of me figure out why it would suddenly stop working. But I've decided to just file that under weird shit happens and just get on with it. But I did replace the diodes. It was, of course, they burned off after I had put them into the Christmas tree. I 3D printed a Christmas tree and painted it up, drilled holes into it, fixed the LEDs to it, which is a pain, really tedious job. I think I did that Thursday while watching Nina's stream. I think I spent most of the stream, what, 3 hours or so, just fiddling around with the diodes and cursing loudly whenever things didn't work out. The thing is that the small LEDs, of course, also have really thin wires. So, but anyway, got stuff up and running. After connecting everything, gluing the actual main part of the diorama into place, you know, painting it, dry brushing it, all those things, I actually retested the microcontroller and all the wiring I've done in the actual diorama, and they still work. So I have 9 exits or output pins from the microcontroller. I've done some programming to be able to do different kinds of blinking, so it doesn't just blink in whatever random way. You can get the light diodes that just include a small blinking circuit, but I wanted to be able to control it. That's also why I want to finish this early or sooner, because the second I'm done with the entire diorama, I can start doing even more overkill on the controller part of things. I mean, it's already Wi-Fi enabled, so it can actually connect to a small web service I made, where it reads the configuration from the database, exports it, and then the microcontroller in the diorama reads the information and configures, you know, the 9 output pins to blink or fade in and out or whatever you want them to do. I have a few ideas that I haven't done yet. One of them is to do a Morse code generator. You can just give it a string of text. Well, I guess that's just called a text string of letters, forms of text. And then it'll just blink that out on one of the outputs. So you can have half the Christmas tree blinking out the lyrics to Jingle Bells or whatever. So if anyone want to throw some money at me, I'll be happy to Morse code an ad for you in a random Copenhagen barbershop for the next month or so. Or you can do Hail Santa. But I think ideally what I'd like to do, if I do the Morse code thing, I'll see if there's gonna be some kind of limit to it. I'm gonna need to fiddle around a little bit to make it work, because I use some cheating tricks on the microcontroller, but it should be possible. So there's that, and then I have, you know, normal blink on, off, where you can control how long it's on, how long it's off. I have fading patterns, And I'm airing this out because if anyone have good ideas for blinking patterns you'd like to see, let me know. With the fades, what I can control is how long time it takes to fade in and out, and also how long it's turned on or off, as separate values. But I'm guessing I should expand that with a max mean value, max minimum, so you can actually control if it, so it doesn't just fade all the way out and all the way in. You can actually set the outer limits. I'll make a note of that to myself. I also did something that I think I can configure to be kind of a sort of fireplace or candlelight flickering pattern, where you can control how long time it should be before it starts blinking a little, and then you can control how long blinking on off should be, and you can give it a chance of doing multiple blinks with a mean max. So it kind of doesn't do the same patterns and kind of pseudo random blinking in and out. I must have some more. Blink, fade, of course. The clean, turn it off, turn on or off, so you can just have light diodes that are not blinking. Because I figured if everything blinks, it's gonna be a pain. But then again, I'm not gonna look at it, so. But anyway, it's been super fun working with microcontrollers again. Although I will say in this day and age, it's not so much a microcontroller that kind of a full-blown computer. The ones I use called ESP8266, they're kind of an old model. They've been replaced, but they run at, I think it was 80 megahertz. And I mean, I played computer games, kind of sophisticated computer games, on less processing power than that, way before there were graphic cards that helped with the graphics, so everything was done by the CPU. And I remember one of my favorite games when I was a kid was called, I think it was called Chuck Yeager's Air Combat. Chuck Yeager being a famous American fighter pilot in, I think it was World War II and the Korean War. Can't remember back then, 40s, 50s. But somehow they've gotten the rights to use his name, and it was super realistic and highly detailed graphics, and you could really see the other airplanes just zooming by, and of course you couldn't. But if you're too kind. So I don't know if I'm smart, I'm just curious. I mean, consider if the curiosity we have as children. Consider what happens if you hang on to that your entire life, and through a combination of sheer luck, privilege, good fortune, all those things, I've been able to actually keep that curiosity going basically all my life, and just go, hey, wonder how that does. Okay, Modifian said, you break my brain. How can someone be so studly and so smart? I don't know about the studly part. That's on your head. But the smarts part, I think I'm getting to the point where I like to say, yeah, that's probably right. But then again, what is smarts? Is it just knowing a bunch of stuff? Is it being able to do stuff, or combine, or whatever? I don't know. Yeah, I love you too, Modifian. By the way, me, if you're still around, Modifian was one of the people I met through NaNoWriMo, what, 15 years ago or something like that. So that's kind of where it all started. Okay, so actually the elves are not turning out as pale as I feared. Some of them are a little wonky looking, but yo, from a side. Yeah, okay, so Mia is still here. Okay, just to give a little bit of background. So I've sat in her couch way back with all the other NaNoWriMoers. Well, not all of them, but a whole bunch of them. This group of us doing word wars and just helping each other out and getting motivated, playing games, having fun. I actually haven't really done NaNoWriMo since I think 2014 was the last time I really did anything. But then again, I mean, what I learned from it back then was how to write quickly and somewhat readable. But yeah, this guy here, this elf, he's actually holding up a small lantern, as you can see. When I first started out, thinking about this project, I had the best intentions of actually mounting a small light diode, again, a small 1mm ones, inside the lamp, maybe messing up around a little bit with the 3D model, just editing it so the lamp would be hollow, just drill into it, make a hole when printing it from the bottom, and just mount a small LED, and the wires are so thin that you could actually get away with just putting it up from the ground. But after all the fiddling around with the small wires and stuff, I mean, I've just decided that this guy, yes, he has a lantern, but the lantern is not going to be lit up. Yeah. But Mia writes that she's been actively part of NaNoWriMo since 2020. I had heard of the concept some years before. Definitely been a fun learning experience for me regarding my writing. I am happy you're getting some good things out of it. I remember my first NaNoWriMo wasn't, well, my first NaNoWriMo, as I like to say to people when they want to do writing and they're afraid they're not going to write enough or not able to finish an NaNoWriMo or whatever, I'm just always reminding them that my very first NaNoWriMo, I wrote exactly 0 words. None, zip, zilch, nada. But it kind of got me started. And then the next year in June, I think, I did kind of my own small project just to see if I could finish 30,000 words in a month, which I successfully completed by being about an hour late to my cousin's wedding reception, which was fine as just kind of an open thing, but it was kind of like, I need to finish this now because it's June 30th and I'm still 200 words behind my goal. So, but anyway, I finished that, and then that was in 2006. Then in November 2006 for NaNoWriMo, I did a full 50,000 words there, and then I think I did it every year until 2011. Then I took a couple of years break, and then in 2014 I had so many notes from role-playing sessions that we were playing Earthdawn, I think, in one of my friend's own worlds. I think we were playing in, can't remember what the world was called, but one of my friend was a DM and did all the stuff from the world building and stuff, and I had so many notes, so I just figured, well, I'm just going to turn that into an NaNoWriMo project, which I did. It was great, it was glorious, and the others asked me to never ever do that again, because what I wrote it as was we call it the adventure log. So one of the players decides or agrees or is chosen to write the adventure log after each session, and then we post it on like a small website we have for it, that where we run the campaign through, and then others can read it. But people didn't really appreciate having the 2 adventure logs from that November being about 25 to 28,000 words each. I said it took too long to read it. I kind of read, yeah, how long do you think it took to write it? What even says it really is special to jump on as something with a bunch of people like Nano. Exactly. Yeah, they're just babies. Okay, 4 elves to go. And while painting these, I actually realized that some of them never had their belts and headbands painted the last time I worked on them. So I need to do that as well. Work, work, work. So yeah. But Modifian, seriously, do you really think the miniature painting thing was real, or was it just kind of an outlet for wanting to do more creative stuff? Another comment. Maybe you should have Modifian this again with the adventure log. Maybe you should have spiced it up with smut. People like the weirdest things if there's smut involved. Yeah, but these people are not like you, Modifian. But I will... Actually, I don't need to make a note of that, because I already knew. So if I ever actually do some role-playing games for you guys again, during the lockdown, the background for this was during the background, Modifian and I played some D&D online through Discord with... Was it your brother, one of your lifelong friends, and one of the other people we met through NaNoWriMo? Were there other people? I mean, I also played with the Incorrigible party people and people from their Discord, so I played a lot of online D&D. Got really good at using Foundry as a virtual tabletop. So I should probably check my... Oh yeah, Jess. Yeah, but that's right, Jessica. How could I forget? Absolutely. And be right. Smut does tend to draw readers. No, the few I've written on AO3 has more readers than my regular rated fix. I have no idea what AO3 is. It's probably something super smutty and horrible. And Nina is learning new English words. That's good. That's good. We're happy to be of assistance, I'm sure. So yesterday, I think I used meddlesome in the chat on Nina's stream, and I think you figured out that you know, is someone who meddles a lot. FF.net, only adults move there when FF banned NC50. Okay, so AO3 is a fanfiction site. Got it. I also have no idea what FF.net is, so anyway. But the thing about, you know, smart drawing readers, I remember reading the stories, well, not the actual stories, but the news posts about, what were her name? The one who did the Bigfoot porn movies, or not movies, well, it's probably movies as well, but fiction novels that just, I don't know, sold how many million copies. And then it branched out into dinosaur porn, and I don't know, it's good, really weird. fanfiction.net. What? Are you calling me uncultured? You're probably right. Yeah, little dancing elf. Orc monster romances. Oh, what if you did you ever read the book? What was it called? Grunt by Mary Gentle. Why do I remember those things and forget so many other things? It's basically a super cool idea, but it did involve. It's basically a group of modern day soldiers being bounced into a fantasy world, complete with all the gear. And of course, the orcs end up taking control of it, so they're running around in a fantasy world with tanks and assault rifles, stuff like that. But the book at some point features a romance between a halfling and an orc. Leave it up to your imagination, especially Modifian's imagination, as to how that worked out. The heart remembers. Yeah, but I mean, I remember the book for several reasons. One, it was kind of normal-sized novel that actually had, I think, 3 books in it, 3 volumes. The first one was fairly short, not a short story as such, but not much longer than a short story. And that was actually by far the best of the entire story. Because that was where the author just explored the idea, this crazy sort of, I don't know, time warp thingy, crossing genres, introducing new technology in worlds that are not really prepared for it. And that worked wonders, but then when you tried turning it into a full-blown story with a plot and a twist and an ending and all those things, it just didn't hold up. I mean, it didn't have what it needed for the long run. So it's kind of like in role-playing games, the difference between a good one-shot adventure, characters for one-shots, and a full-blown campaign. It's just didn't at least I didn't think it worked well. So. Modifian says, "Oh my friendo, there was an October. Oh yeah, that just finished. October monster reading bingo. The Orc Halfling book was a feel-good story. I'm sure the Halfling lady in question agrees." Is that an innuendo? No, it was not an innuendo. It was just flat out stating facts. Well, I did say I'm sure, so it's kind of an opinion or a guess, but I don't think that counts as an innuendo. But does it? Is it actually an innuendo? No, it's not. But hey, shocking Modifian. It's no easy task. And yes, this is an elf that is lying down with a, I think it's called a gourd, It's kind of a bottle made out of a pumpkin or something like that. So yeah, he's laying there. He's just been dipping into the eggnog or whatever they're drinking up there. Also realizing that I am actually painting this without using my magnifying glass. Again, it's a little easier to do with the speed paints because they actually kind of seep into the right areas on their own. But even so. Commander Dante, Raid, welcome! Thank you. Welcome to another painting channel. I know Commander Dante, how do you pronounce that? Anyway, Commander Dante is also painting miniatures, doing a way better job at it than I am. Especially today, since what I'm doing here is just kind of speed painting some stuff for a large Christmas diorama I'm working on. So the minis themselves don't really need a lot of details. But welcome. What have you been up to tonight? So there we go. Oh, you're a chainmailer. Okay, maybe I got you confused. Sorry about that. But yeah, definitely chainmail. That's cool. Chainmail is fun to wear, by the way. The way it moves around and just follows your body, it's super fun. So you also remove the option to redeem points and choose a color. Be honest, is that because of my chartreuse obsession? No, that was actually something I removed for the NaNoWriMo projects, because then people have already chosen a color scheme. And I want to stick as closely to it as possible, and I didn't really want to mess that up by people going, oh, now you have to use, I don't know, purple. Well, purple is something, I don't know, something that is not in the color scheme. There's no bad colors as such, just ones that wasn't really expected. But hey, look at it like this, Modifian. You're just going to get more and more points. Speaking of the NaNoWriMo projects, this is the first one I did this month for one of the other Danish writers. And that turned out pretty well. But again, I printed them in your double size on all axes. And that is a lot. Okay, Commander, thank you for raiding. Go eat, go rest. Enjoy the rest of your evening or day or whatever time zone you're in. Thank you for dropping by, and I hope to see you again soon. So, Santa Claus. Okay, so I'm having a problem here because I'm guessing the trim of his coat, the fur, should be white, but his hair is also going to be white, and it's going to blend into the same mass. Yeah, see you, Commander. Commander Dante. So how do we do this? I know what we'll do. We will postpone the decision until later and fix up the elves with the unpainted headbands and... Wait, is it only one? That's boring. Okay, so there's only one elf who didn't have a headband. Oh. The hat thingy wasn't painted. Now, what did I use for that? So, probably... See, this is where my brain is working against me, because I never ever write down what colors I use for the different parts. because I can clearly remember it as I'm painting, but then when I actually get to painting the next model, it is completely gone from my brain. So yeah, I can't postpone it for long. But I can postpone it though. And yeah, this one is a little bit white. By the way, if you haven't already done, please go and follow Comandante. Some of the stuff he does, well, all the stuff he does is great to look at, and it's fun. Again, it's one of the people who share the process, you know, how he's working. That's something I really appreciate when people do that, because you can learn so much from it. And even if you're never gonna make a chainmail yourself, although I can highly recommend doing it, it's fun, relaxing task. You can do it while, well, not you, Modifian, because you should let your mind relax. But I think I watched all of Babylon 5 when I did my chainmail, chain cert, really. Wasn't a full suit. And yeah, you're right, Nina. Can't postpone it for long. I mean, I could postpone it until very early Monday morning, but so yeah, that's headband and stuff done. Chainmail full of blood blisters and pinched flesh. I don't think I did any of those things, so clearly I must have done something wrong. So yeah. By the way, just a quick review. This is me who was here before. The model I printed and started painting last week for her, for NaNoWriMo. I will continue her next week. Your fingers were black and blue, even from doing a chainmail. Well, appreciate the dedication though. Though I would suggest doing it in a different way. This paint is supposed to be pink, but it is really weird consistency. I do not have any test miniatures here. Well, I do, but yeah, decided we'll use this one. A glove with a Blood Bowl ball. Blood Bowl is a fun game for those who haven't come across it. Okay, so maybe this pink is a little bit too pink for the candy canes. Although I think I could make a well-sounding argument that you can never make candy too pink. Yeah, that'll do. Again, one of the reasons some of my projects take way too long. Half the time I don't really know what I'm doing. I just kind of know where I want to go. So I just give it a try while I'm doing the project. Spend some, I don't know, project time, whatever, learning time on these things. So naturally that means the projects take longer. That's again, as I said, about curiosity. I actually prefer doing new projects where I haven't got the foggiest idea what I'm doing, to just repeating the same over and over again. That's what I get out of these things. That, probably not surprising, has led to me having a bazillion different hobbies over the years. So yeah, again, curiosity. So, purple candy cane, bubblegum candy canes. American. Oh wait, we shouldn't culturally misappropriate those poor Americans, should we? Stealing all their candy from them and stuff like that. But yeah, bubblegum candy. Now, one thing I did consider including in the diorama, again, I get 1,000 crazy ideas on a weekly basis almost, at least that's how it feels. One thing I considered doing, but chose not to go for, was inspired by a webcomic called Sluggy Freelance that I read about, I don't know, 25 years ago or something like that. It is one of those webcomics where the author probably never really saw where things were going when they started out. And at some point, the main characters came into conflict with not only Santa, but also Santa's Black Ops Special Division elves. And let me tell you, those critters, people, dudes, whatever, dudes and dudettes, if I remember correctly even, they were nasty. They had everything under control. Well, until they didn't, and then things just went wrong. But the whole concept and the idea of it, again, that's just my kind of crazy, because of course Santa Claus has a Black Ops division amongst his elves. It was, by the way, Nina, the same webcomic that also features a knife-wielding bunny. Any orc romance? Of course you're going for the orc romance. No, orc romances are strictly confined to October. What if you should know that by now. Santa's in Santa happily married? Yeah, well. Maybe you could do an Orc Santa romance. Okay, Modifian, I'm gonna give you a color choice since you asked for the redeem thingy. I have a toy plane in the hand of one of the elves. What color should that be? And don't say orc green, because that's boring and predictable. Yeah, good. What color is the rest of the elf? Oh, Nina is trying to work, but it's so hard to stop staring at the stream. I'm fascinating and amazed how small they are and really want to try and paint something 3D now. Well, go for it. Basically, it's, I mean, you don't have to get a bazillion paints like I do. This isn't even all of it. I have about 100 bottles more in a closet, cupboard, closet, whatever. Yeah, I have a lot of paint, but you don't need that. If you have some good acrylics, preferably with small pigments because of the details of the minis. But basically any kind of thin acrylic can be used. Almost have as much paint as Modifian has nail polish. Anyway, Modifian, this is the elf in question. So it's got a green and a red leg and got sort of two colored shirt on, green hat, and then brown belt and I don't know the color thing they have. And then he's holding this suitably stylized airplane in his hand. Blue or yellow? I'm gonna go for yellow because a lot of the other elves, like this dude here, actually have blue clothes on. So I figured it's gonna be easier just doing it yellow. And fortunately, we have a yellow here. Just gonna shake it up a little bit. So yellow. Ooh, Modifian, I don't know. Did you actually see this dude? It's my tiefling paladin from my real life D&D group. He's called Nobody. How does shaking not get a ton of air bubbles? It just doesn't. But medium, I don't know. Oh yeah, Nina, go get your tea. Okay, so the last time we talked, I just started him. Okay, well, I finished him, the large version again. And yes, I printed the large version of him because one of the other guys in the party actually took the reduce enlarge spell for his character. And we kept it secret from the rest of the group, me and him, until he cast enlarge on nobody during a combat, and I just pulled out the large miniature and people loved it. Of course, that does set the precedent that I should now be printing both large and normal and small miniatures for all the characters. So, not entirely sure that was a good idea, but hey, it was fun. Like that quote from the old BBC Hitchhiker's Guide radio plays, where say Fort Beeblebrox and Fort Prefect are talking about super sleek, nice spaceship they see in the hangar under Milliways, and one of them is going kind of going something along the lines of, so you think we should stroll off with it then? So something along the lines of that. But basically, the point is that one of them kind of goes, that would be a bad idea. Let's do it. So there you go, Modifian. One yellow airplane. But you do know that by making it yellow, or choosing that it should be yellow, you have now actually doomed it to turn into a submarine at some point. Banana plate. Okay, so metal painting. Because now we have, next up, we have a guy with a candle. I'm thinking some kind of brass color, bronze brass-ish. I want to call evil chrome. Ooh, I have colored metals now. So I can actually do. I haven't tried this one. Let's see what it is. Probably gonna make a little bit of noise. I have the vortex shaker, which I think the microphone don't pick up when it's just running, but you can hear it when I'm speaking. So there we go. This one here is called Tainted Gold. Kind of hoping for a really weird effect here. Mostly because, again, since these are not kind of central to the diorama individually, I'm hoping that at some point someone will actually, look at them a little bit closer and kind of go, wait, why is he holding a weird ass candle stick holder, whatever, or the yellow plane, or some stuff like that. Modifian, did I send you pictures of the Christmas tree I did? Or only the very dark video where you can see the lights blinking? But I still have half an hour to finish all of the elves on stream. That is very doable. Oh, Modifian, you missed out so much. The character I showed you before, not nobody, but the other one, you totally missed out on those two streams, because that character is called Arcelot. Yeah, you missed that one. Yep, you missed it. No, that's fine, Modifian. I kind of derailed myself quite a lot, actually. So, it's fine. I'm perfectly capable of doing that myself, even without you here. Yeah, that's another fun thing with the speed paint. I'm doing the flame of the candle here. So what I do is I just slap on the speed paint, and then before it dries I just remove it by adding some water. Just again the brush with some water on, and kind of blend it into white by just removing parts of the speed paint. Not the best effect, but again, took a few seconds, and you can't see that on camera. But it's him done. Then we have the passed out elf and his gourd. I'm thinking orange. And yeah, when you're holding your miniatures that are just kept in place by a single pin, you kind of learn how to open your paint bottles one-handed. Which is why I'm glad that it's the dropper bottles and not the Games Workshop ones or Citadel miniatures, because there's so many people knock over their paints trying to especially close them one-handed, you know, the Games Workshop ones, because they have kind of a tipping lid that you have to put into sort of snap back into place, I guess is a way of describing it. And people try to do it one-handedly, but then it's a little too tight and they knock over the entire bottle. If you go to my clips on Twitch, there might actually still be one of me doing the same with one of the washes. I mean, knocking over a bottle of paint is bad enough, but doing it with the inks and shades is even worse, because that's actually really thin, so that actually seeped out all over the place. Didn't hit any miniatures though. So anyway, orange drink bottle for a little drinky poo. And he was missing some paint in there. That's one of the things with miniature painting, is that it's almost always better to paint into another, you know, paint the wrong color into another area than leave a gap between them that is white, because the white is just going to show up immediately and everyone's going to notice it, whereas the miscolored one will show up if people look closely at it, which people often don't do. So ribbons, they should be red, not pink, but actual red. We got a good red for that. Yeah, the flip lid bottles I was talking about. It's these ones, these pots here, where you kind of feel like you can sort of squeeze it open, and you can. I'm not gonna do it because then it's gonna go horribly wrong, and I'll have to repaint all the elves. But it's yeah. They're supposed to keep in the paint, so naturally it's gonna be tight. No, Nina, not doing it. Not because I care much about my workspace. That would just be a fun addition to it. It's more that I don't really care about the concept of having to repaint all the elves and Santa. But Nina, I would actually love to see you try your hands at some 3D painting to see what you make of it. I know there's a bunch of techniques and mostly ways of cheating the eye that are really good to learn. But I'm guessing, with your skills already and knowledge about color and composition and all that would give you a good head start. I mean, with these elves, I am kind of specifically going against a lot of the core rules about using colors and complement and what I call complementary colors and stuff like that. Using the color wheel. I'm basically doing everything that you shouldn't do. Mostly because I want them to stand out by being, kind of terrible. And also because when I talked to my barber about it, and what she'd prefer in the diorama, one of her comments was that it should look like Santa had vomited out as much Christmassy stuff as you could possibly imagine, or something along those lines. Right. Yeah, it makes sense with your living situation to not. Yeah, not start new larger projects until that's been settled. Hang on, I just need to finish this and I'll catch up with the comments. Kind of have this saying, just like the old phrase where you have to strike while the iron is hot. You also have to paint while the paint is wet. Yeah, looks good enough. I mean, the red ribbon on the orange gift, it works. So, comments. Nina says, worst thing about traveling so often with a plane is I can't bring paints, not allowed. Oh, really? Wow, I did not know that. So you have everything double at the moment, half there, half here, 2 different pieces. Oh yeah, that's gonna be a mess. Hey, typing without writing is basically what NaNoWriMo month is all about, so go for it. So, for this dude with the lamp, I am actually gonna try to give him a dark metallic lamp. Ooh, or I could. Yes, I know what I'll do. I will cheat. So that's what I do. We're just gonna switch to one of the Citadel contrast paints. Basically same concept as the speed paints, thin, stays in the recesses, stuff like that. It's just a different brand, they have a different name for it. But since they were the first of the miniature paints to really kind of market these things, that's kind of, a lot of people usually refer to these things as, you know, contrast style paints, even though the technique is not new. I've been told it's been used by other people painting different things than your wargaming miniatures. So paint rule probably depends on the airline. Yeah, I would imagine. I guess it also depends a little bit on what it's made of, because the acrylic paints, I mean, they're not flammable, they're not toxic. It's nothing like that going on. But hey, airlines are airlines, and they have their rules, and it's usually best to just follow them. It's always best to follow the airline rules. Hey Ken, is that a pop silicone paint tray? It is actually. It is a fidget popper. I think John mentioned them on Discord a while back. They're really good for, you know, inks, speed paints, contrasts, things like that. Things that basically don't go on a wet palette. I guess I could also use it for metallics. But yeah, the good thing is just leave the paint in to dry and just pop it out, and it's almost clean on its own. So yeah, that is indeed a popper. So how are you, by the way? And my cats are going crazy downstairs. So, well, at least that's always fun. Yeah, so it's. I mean, I have some wet paint, so I'm not gonna flip it all the way up. Oh, you're painting Carnival Zombie Minis. They were amazing. Both good paint job on them. That's one thing. But the minis themselves, I really like them. The game I mentioned, Carnival, is a war game that I really want to try. Kind of a skirmish game. Yes, guess who just stuck their finger into wet paint? The Carnival is set in Venice, sort of traditionally at least, and it's basically this crossover of so many different styles. So it has a huge Lovecraftian side to it. So you'll have deep ones crawling out of Venice's canals, and then you'll have other people trying to run around on the rooftops. It's very centered about sort of spectacular movement and doing stunts and stuff like that, which I think would bring a lot of storytelling to that kind of game. But I'm not too keen on starting up yet another game. Don't really have anyone to play with. You know, I'm sure you know the drill. Also don't really have time for it. So even if I could find people who would be willing to play it, I would probably just play it once or twice, which isn't really worth the cost. Unless I, of course, decide to go all in and just build a copy of part of Venice, which would be cool. It's Carnivale with 2 E's, you know, 2 E's in total. Carnevale. No, cat, go away. Hang on. Cat is about to eat some of my scenery. Kind of fun because cats have not messed with that scenery ever. And then, of course, while I'm streaming, that's when they decide to chew it to pieces. And it's the cheeky cat who does not want to be lifted up. No Godzillas here, only giant vicious killer cats. I think. Damn it! Now I have to do Santa? No, I have the barrel. I can do the barrel. The barrel will get metal. Can you point the cam a bit up? You're out of frame most of the time. I'm guessing this camera? Like so? Yeah. I mean, my camera is always messed up because I usually put a little bit out to the side after I've streamed, so I kind of have to reset everything. And I don't have any markings; it's just a normal boom. So, but thank you for letting me know. I usually that's the part I can't see myself because that's when I'm looking down at the miniatures, so I can't really check that I'm actually have the miniature in frame and so on. So thank you. Now for the barrel. I know I should be doing Santa, but I'm just gonna do the barrel really quickly. And then I'll finish off Santa because I want to get it done anyway, so why not just keep streaming? The way we do the barrels is just classic metallics. Paint on the metal color. Use the glittery shiny stuff and then give it a wash of good old-fashioned Nuln oil. Nuln is a city in the old world, in the Warhammer Fantasy world, blah 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 blah. I think that's where the artillery school is in the Warhammer lore, Warhammer Fantasy lore. So if I'm using Nuln oil on this barrel, it's probably, yeah, that's going to be one of the Easter eggs that my barber won't know about, but that you people will know about, is that this will actually be a powder keg sitting on her shelf all of December. Yeah. So now you know the secret. You are not allowed to tell anyone. I mean, it's not like I'm streaming this publicly anywhere, right? Yeah, it's a good thing about Twitch, always super secret. I actually at some point looked into doing closed audience streams on Twitch, and I know where Modifian's mind is going now, but it was for work, and I still know where your mind is going. But actually, during lockdown, I tried teaching some co-workers how to paint miniatures. And I would have preferred using a streaming platform for sitting here at home and just showing them how to paint and just chit-chatting. Instead, we ended up using Teams, Microsoft Teams of all things, which was terrible because it actually compressed the video so much that you almost couldn't see the miniatures. Definitely couldn't see any details or not even the tip of the paintbrush, stuff like that. So that was not a good thing. And I only found out less than 24 hours before we had the session that you have a 24-hour timeout or cooldown when you enable your YouTube account for streaming, or enable live streaming on your YouTube account. They're of course doing it to prevent spamming, illicit material, whatever, CD stuff. So you can't just create an account and then immediately start streaming. You have to wait 24 hours. I found that out 20 hours before doing the session. So I activated on YouTube, found out I needed 24 hours cooldown, and then never tried it. So, but yeah, but the reason I did that is that YouTube actually allows streams where you just send people a link to the stream and then it doesn't show up on your channel or anything like that, just like with unlisted videos and stuff like that. And at least back then, Twitch did not have that feature. So that's the barrel painted metallics. Yes, I was not that aware of Discord at the time. And yeah, absolutely. And absolutely, the virtual camera, that is exactly what I used for the stream. But Teams still messed it up completely. Okay, so Santa. I think that was before I started using Discord. We used Zoom for some chats with some of my friends at the time. And I didn't start using Discord until after I met the people from the Incorrigible Party and we started doing online D&D. Which I actually kind of miss. I miss, to be honest, because I am who I am, I actually miss the lockdown period. Not because of the pandemic. Ugh. What did I paint last with this brush? Ugh. I think speed paints. Speed paints don't taste good. But anyway, I found out what to do with the with Santa. We will be doing his the trim on his coat. We're gonna try and do that high contrast. And then we'll do a white contrast paint, speed paint on his beard. The difference being that here we actually shade things with black and then I go back in with white to do the highlights. And both the contrast, the speed paint, quote unquote whites, have a fair bit of bluish to them. Oh yeah, you also has fond memories of back then when it was socially accepted to just stay at home, chill, do creative stuff, and have fun. But yeah, I mean, pandemic was horrible, truly horrible. Or the aftermath of that as well. But the whole not having any appointments and just having time to be yourself again. Some background here is that about 6 months before the lockdown, I went down really hard with stress. And that was because I ended up doing, stretching myself too thin, doing way too many things in too little time, too many appointments with awesome people. We did fun, amazing stuff, but still just too much of it. So too much of a good thing, still not good. So having that forced break was really healthy for my mental health. Really good for my mental health. So yeah, I do remember that. And then, doing the role-playing sessions, we usually play for what, 4 hours or so, which was a suitable time for just a quick scenario, either one-shots or the campaign we ran with Modifian and the others. And again, these things became so much more possible to do because there was nothing else. There were no other things. There were no other appointments. There were no things to do. It's just like, oh, cool. Every Sunday, let's just do D&D in the evening, afternoon, evening here in Denmark, because hey, what else are you going to do on Saturday when everything is closed and you can't go visit anyone? And as I said, it was, again, me and my bloody curiosity found it so interesting and downright amusing to learn how to use the virtual tabletops. I've always, before that, played role-playing games, by using the actual physical books. That's how it's always been. A few times I've only had PDF versions. I've been able to buy on what's called DM's Guild or Drive-Through RPG or something like that. You can sometimes get old rule books, but I've never enjoyed reading them, because to me, role-playing has always been an offline, not on an offline activity. We use it's called Obsidian Portal, which is a site for you have your characters, you have a wiki, you can have maps that you upload. But that was kind of around the game. The actual game with with the books and sheets and all of that. Oh my god, character sheets. Only having the physical character sheet available, doing everything, all the calculations yourself, as opposed to something like D&D Beyond, where you just basically, needles are sharp. Public service announcement. Where you can basically just create an entire character without knowing any of the rules, because you get all the choices and you just click through them. So that was the first time I really tried doing that. And Modifian says, Nina says that she worked 2 full-time jobs before COVID, and then when it hit the hardest, I managed to leave one behind fully. Congratulations on that, I think. And I met so many people at that period from all over the world. Fun times. Yes, because the whole streaming thing. I started streaming partly to force. See, there I did it. I closed it one-handed, and now I'm actually gonna open it one-handed because. See, you can do it. Well, that's kind of where people tip it over. Anyway, fun times it was. What even says, it was so nice. It's like in person, it really is great, but travel eats so much time. True. Online has its downsides, but the fact that the whole play could be played, and I mean the paper sheets is always going to have the best feel for me, but the online tools, not surprisingly, in 2020 and even both before that and after, of course they're going to be absolutely amazing, and of course it's going to have all the rules, and of course it's going to have a few glitches here and there where things get calculated wrong, but hey, you learn to live with that. But the way it works and the way it integrates into the virtual tabletops, I found it so fun, because the way I worked with the one-shot scenarios, I don't know, I think I did 10, 15, maybe more scenarios for Foundry. Virtual tabletop I ended up using, because I found Roll20 to be too simplistic. I mean, if you're going to go digital, go all the way. except three-dimensional, because that would take too long to actually get up and running. But anyway, the way D&D Beyond, for instance, integrates with Foundry is literally what you have is set up. You just click a few times and then you have all the monsters you need. You have the characters imported. You can see all the spells and effects, and it tracks hit points and initiative, and you can show all the maps you sit around and paint at home and blah blah blah, you know, all those things. It's just there. Yep. Trying to balance Santa without messing him up too badly. Okay, I had left the barrel with the small pin pointing upwards, and I was just about to slam my hand down on it. While it was my offhand, it would still not have been fun. So basically what's missing now is just quick shading of the metal parts on the barrel. I also couldn't hit the paint pot, but it kind of hit the side of it instead of where the paint is. That's probably not a good sign. But anyway, once this is done, I just need Santa's beard and hair. I need his gloves. And then I need some highlighting on his fur coat to try and get that just a little bit white again, at least whitish seeming. And that should actually be all the paint that needs to be done. And yeah, Nina, I totally get that. I'm guessing that was in response to jamming my hand down over a needle, which I didn't do, so it's all good, but still. Oh, there we go. Put it in there among the elves and hopefully it'll be good. Santa, are you... Yeah, the ink is dried enough that I can actually work on it. I also need his belt and his boots. I think we have a bit of a workplace issue here, because it is winter. They are going to be running around in snow. Santa is wearing large, comfy-looking boots. All the elves have bare feet and bare hands. I think that's a bit of an issue there. Anywho, shading. Do you ever have the problem that you have so many paints and they're somehow magically all positioned with the, you know, the where you can actually see the color and name pointing backwards? So you just have this, and you're trying to find this specific paint you're gonna use. Okay, so I'm actually gonna thin that down a little bit, because I don't want the beard to turn gray or bluish. Still want it to be white, but just want to give it a little bit of a shade to it. Oh, and Ken says, remember Legolas, he didn't get cold on the snowy mountain. The elves are fine. That is a good point. We have precedent for, I mean, granted, Legolas didn't run around with bare feet, but it's a good point. Good point. I'll buy that one. No, but I mean, the reason I really want to finish all of these models tonight is that then I can go down and spend the rest of the evening finishing a few touches like wiring up all the LEDs, all the lights, and once that is done, I can start gluing everything into place. I've decided to not add the snow effects until I'm actually ready to mount the miniatures, because I want to do it at the same time so I can kind of jam them into the snow a little bit. Instead of if I waited, the snow is made primarily from PVC glue, which means that it's going to dry up really hard. And that well, the effect of that is that if I then put Santa and the elves on top of the snow later on, it's gonna look like they're kind of floating a little bit on top of the snow, which is not the effect. Yeah, well, it's true. Legolas is a different kind of elf, but distant cousins. Legolas helping Santa. There's a one-shot adventure in there somewhere. I'm gonna make that happen one day. We are going for... or maybe the... Actually, that's good. Oh, Gimli sitting there drinking. Absolutely. Maybe actually that should be the point, that Legolas and Gimli were supposed to help Santa, but they ended up having a drinking competition instead, which means that you have, the group of adventurers now have to actually go in and do all the hard work to help Santa. So Legolas, especially the comment, can you imagine Legolas helping Santa? Kind of like, no, I can't. And that is exactly because he wouldn't help Santa. And therefore you have to do it. Ooh. I'm seriously considering printing a new Santa and just painting him properly. It's wrong to say properly, but just printing with normal acrylics instead of speed paints. It's gonna take forever to get his coat right, but it is gonna look better. And I'm guessing he is kind of gonna be a bit of a centerpiece in a diorama like this, although he is still small enough that he kind of disappears a little bit. Anyway, I'll see how I feel about it once I've finished the rest of the diorama. But again, color question, Modifian. What color should Santa's boots be? More comments. Nina says, tingly fingers, oh yeah. Ken says, you have my bow, ho ho ho. And my axe, said Gimli to Santa, never. Chartreuse? I cannot really place what chartreuse is. I'm guessing it's some form of red, but I'm not sure. I have no idea. Give elves a sock. I should have done that. I should have designed an elf and see if they can't have a sock in their hand. Hang on. I just got an idea. Let's see, we can do this. And Yes, I have too many miniatures in Hero Forge. Where should we go? We should be a happy elf. Something like this. Gonna go save as happy elf. Suck. Let's do hands. You cannot seriously tell me that they do not have socks. They have bananas. They have whatever the hell a clockwork cane is. They have Sips's hairbrush. They also have undo. What if you have other names for sock? Oh, I don't know. Stocking? Yeah. Oh, the air clay. Oh, I'm not gonna model a 4mm sock. Stocking, no. Side? Sloth, no. Back. Not really having a lot of luck with this. Last thing. Unavailable with your selection. If we do this, maybe we can find something here. Nope. Nope. Nope, not gonna be here. I am sad to say that they do not have a loose sock that you can give your character in Hero Forge. And yeah, as Nina says, well, as Modifian says, Santa requires more from his minions. I'm guessing that's because I didn't want to do the model a sock myself. Guessing it wouldn't even be that difficult. I mean, it's been just making a small tube and just flipping it up. That kind of good one. But as Nina says, Santa doesn't want his elves free. Also, that was the wrong scene. Sorry. Santa, I'm actually gonna wait with his boots until I do the white highlights. Definitely don't paint enough, and I can see that by the fact that several of my paints have started actually drying up in the tip of the dropper bottles. That is not a good sign. So hopefully going back to streaming once per week is going to help that. So, smaller brush. There we go. Now this is where we break out the... I don't know, that gets in the way, and the camera is in the way, and everything is terrible. Let's see if we do maybe this. Bring in, whoa, that's a magnifying lamp in my face. because now this requires a little bit of detail. Oh, I didn't see that Ken was leaving. If you're still here, Ken, have a great evening. Thank you for dropping by. So this is kind of the point where I'm beginning to go, okay, so where am I going to position Santa in the diorama? Okay, so it's going to be over on the left, pointing to the right, which means that most of what's on his backside and behind him is not going to be visible, which means I don't have to do super detailed highlighting there. God, I hate doing highlights like this. Dry brushing is so much easier, so much more fun, but just does not give the right look for this. See, that's the thing about not having painted for a really long time, or at least nothing sort of significant. I have really lost my touch with these things. I used to be better. But hey. Remember when I did, I said it also for my barber. I think most of my minis are probably gonna end up in there at some point. No. I found a 3D model. It's just after I got the 3D printer. I found a model of a dwarf head, like a bust, on a small pedestal, or whatever it's called, small column, small pillar. And it just looks amazing because it got this really vibrant hair and beard, and he's just screaming on the off the top of his lungs. And I think I spent probably realistically about 3 or 4 hours on his face alone. Granted, it was just the head, and the head was about the size of the large minis I showed before. Damn, Santa's been out. Santa's getting kind of nitty-gritty with the headband there. Looks a little dirty. So it's a dirty Santa. No, but I think I spent about 4 hours on the face alone. Just, building up the highlights of the skin tones from the darkness, the shaded color, and just slowly adding to it, slowly building up, redoing some of it, doing his big old nose and cheeks and everything. It just took forever, but it was a really good training exercise to do it. Also because it was a larger model, so it was not like doing like half a paint stroke here and you've messed up half of all of the face. I could really work. There was so much real estate. That it was a really good sort of teaching or learning experience, and in the end it looks so amazing. There's a video of it somewhere on my YouTube channel for those who want to watch. I don't have the link here, and I'm painting, trying to get this done, but I was really happy with the result. And the fun part was that the hair and the beard had so much detail in the miniature that I just slapped down some contrast paints on it, and it just neatly shaded everything in a single pass. And what do you think people actually mention the most when they see that miniature? Is it the face that took forever to paint? Or is it the 5-minute paint job on the beard and hair? And yeah, your guess is absolutely correct. Exactly the 5-minute thing, Nina. And I kind of get it, because when you look at the model, the sculpt of the model is very much centered about the scream and the flowing hair and beard. So it makes perfect sense that that is what people notice. And it looks really good with the contrast paints. The thing I've come to appreciate about the face in that model and other models as well, both when I paint them myself and when I see other people's paint jobs, is that the reason you don't notice the face is that it actually looks realistic. And I mean, that's, you know, kind of the compliment is that people don't notice the face looking weird or off, means that I've done a really good job painting it. Ooh, that works. It's one of those things where sometimes you have to listen for the compliments people tell you, and other times you have to look for or notice the compliments that are unspoken. And both are equally valuable. Yeah, I hadn't planned on doing highlights on the beard, but I'm here, I have the white paint ready. It's kind of a no-brainer just doing it. And it just evens out, smoothens out the colors just a little bit. I mean, that's one thing I would be really interested in hearing about your experiences with miniature painting, Nina, would be how it translates, or how it differs from doing the your normal paintings when you actually have the shape. It's kind of like, you know, drawing by numbers. A lot of this, I don't have to be able to draw a beard to make Santa. I just have to be able to fill in the right spots with the right color, which is not necessarily easy. But it's different skills that are needed. Santa has a belt buckle that needs paint as well. Yeah, I really feel, you know, rusty when it comes to painting when doing these things, but it's not going bad. Not going great either, but it is working. Again, the trick here is to hit the parts of the model that are raised up from the shadows and slightly pointing upwards. That should be the brightest. Nothing really surprising there. But this is where you kind of have to no longer only paint by numbers, but actually kind of consider, okay, so I have the beard, yes. But to get the highlights, you only have to paint a little bit of the beard or whatever you're working on. I've also, over the past couple of weeks, done some work on changing my technique with the brush, because I found that often when I'm thinning down my paints to not just leave brush marks and everything, I found that the paint got really thin, so it just ended up being a wash, despite actually thinning to the level or the thickness or thinness or whatever that it should be. And I kind of think it's because I was just pressing the brush too hard against the model. So really put in an effort to try and control the brush a little better. And it seems to work, in the sense that now sort of paint get deposited on the miniature, but it doesn't just seep out all over the place. It just goes where I use the brush. It's kind of how it should be, but again, that's kind of the thing. I spoke to one of my friends about it also yesterday. I learned to paint back in the early to mid 90s. I did not have any video tutorials. I did not have anyone teaching me how to do this. I just had this, hey, it's fun to play Warhammer. Let's buy some paints and some miniatures and start painting. And then a very few descriptions in probably White Dwarf magazine back then, but no one to learn from. So basically had to learn everything from scratch. That's kind of like reinventing the wheel over and over again. So I never learned to do proper highlights back then. I only just did dry brushing, which does not give good results on miniatures like this. So yeah. Fortunately, when I picked up miniature painting, I kind of kept going at it once in a while over the years. But back in 2017-ish, 5-6 years ago, I started painting again because I realized I stopped playing war games a long time ago. Too much time, too much effort, too expensive, not enough people to play with. Well, there are plenty of people, but not, I prefer playing with friends, and the friends I knew who played these games, after high school and university, we just didn't see each other as much, and they stopped playing and so on. But then I found out that there's a whole new sort of generation of both board games and board gamers. Yeah, you can actually see the shading in the trim on the miniature on camera, which means that I've actually done decent highlighting and shadows. No, but the new generation of board games and gamers, a lot of the board games come with pretty nice miniatures, and a lot of them, and that means that a lot of board gamers have also started being interested in painting their board games. But unlike a lot of Warhammer people, these people are not interested, the board gamers were not really interested in making super detailed models or paint jobs. They were more interested in just getting some paint on the miniatures so they wouldn't be playing games with dull gray miniatures. And that makes sense. So actually a guy I met through work, one of our clients there was a digital project manager, I think his title was, but anyway, that's irrelevant. We ran into each other in one of the miniature shops in Denmark and Copenhagen, and just started talking about it, and that kind of eventually grew into kind of a friendship or whatever. So now I'm helping him moderate the Facebook group he has for people who just want to quickly learn how to quickly paint the miniatures in their board games. I think that's kind of a good way of explaining it. So that's growing into a really good and strong community. So yeah, that's, by the way, also what eventually led to me being interviewed for my first podcast ever. I was very proud, and it's kind of fun to be asked about my experiences with painting, and just basically sitting with some of the other guys and just telling all the weird stories that we know from way back, and how we started and how miniature painting was back then, and what are we happy about now with, you know, new paints and suggestions for people who, you know, go out and buy a super nice board game, see all these miniatures, but don't know how to start and how to paint and all those things. So what advice would we give to them? You know, blah blah blah. They ended up cutting it up in half, so they did 2 episodes instead of 1, because me and the other guy, we just talked so much, which is not surprising, since both he and I actually stream miniature painting. I know it comes as a surprise to some of you, but I actually do stream miniature painting once in a while. Don't let this, what I'm doing here, distract you from that. I actually do paint miniatures. I'm also sometimes funny. But no, but we had a blast doing it. They got some good episodes out of it, and I hope it helped people realize that painting is not about being super serious and learning all the right techniques and blah blah blah. One of my prime examples was from last year, when I took a board game. I like telling this story, so I'll tell it again. I took the D&D board game that we actually played, Modifian, the Dungeon of the Mad Mage, the board game. I painted all the monster miniatures in a single evening, live streamed. It took 3 hours and 45 minutes, give or take. And the miniatures were not really, I would say they weren't really painted afterwards, even though, you know, there was paint on them, so yes, they're painted. But I just dry brushed them, primed them black, all of them, as a base, and then just gave a really heavy dry brush of different colors for each group of monsters. So all the bandits, I think, turned green or whatever. All the veterans turned yellow. All the thugs turned red, and, you know, stuff like that. There we go. That is one almost finished Santa. But the reason I did that, and also one of the reasons I streamed it, was to put some action behind the claim that you can actually paint a full board game in an evening. I know that I didn't paint the full board game because I didn't paint the 5 hero characters. That's kind of irrelevant, because the point was that the core, the bulk of the game, all these monsters, I just sipped right through them. My hands were messy as hell when I was done. I'm gonna do black on the boots. Don't need that. Also, this lamp is killing me, because it's loose in the springs and joints and everything. So some of the joints work, some of the joints don't. And oh, thank you, Nina. Yeah, Santa's beginning to look good. I mean, the technique here is kind of like what's the reference? That's theater paint. So when you have, you know, people at the theater or operas or whatever, their makeup is not super detailed with wonderfully done cloudy eyes or smoky eyes or whatever it's called. It's super exaggerated, where they just draw huge gray, white and black lines down the face to highlight the cheekbones and the forehead. So if you actually look into that, it looks horrible up close, but that's not where the actors are supposed to be seen. It's, you know, you have to be able to see it up from all the way up in the balcony in the back row. So there's a lot of tricks to be learned from that. When painting miniatures, especially like here, these are not miniatures that are supposed to ever be examined through a microscope or a magnifying glass, or even just held close to the face. These are supposed to be at a diorama on a shelf where people can see it from roughly an arm's length distance. So it just has to look kind of good. And with the fur trim that I just highlighted and the beard, I mean, it was painted white, then it was shaded, and then I gave it just the full white highlight again. So it basically at most has 3 shades to it, roughly speaking. But it's enough. I mean, if I hold it out at a distance, even on camera, you can see the structure in the beard and in the trim and all those things. So that's kind of how it's supposed to work. So yeah. Belt buckle. Do the belt buckle. Okay. The feeling of trying to dip your your paintbrush into fully dried up paint. Santa needs a silver buckle. I've decided. So yeah. Yeah. It'll do. So yeah, I think looking at the little people here. Okay, this is tree there. Something like that. Airplane guy. Oh, I'm tempted to do the candy canes as well, to make the white more white, but because of the contrast speed paints, you know, that feeling when you feel like you actually grab the pin and then you look into your empty hand and go, oh, I did not get the miniature. Can we do like that? Yeah, I mean, you can see the red lines. Oh, sorry. I mean, the candy canes, you can see that they're 2-colored. So it would absolutely pop if I gave it the white, but it's also gonna be at least an hour, you know, painting all of those, because there's so much white that needs to be painted. But all things considered, I'm pretty happy. Of course, now that I did the highlights on Santa, I want to do more highlights on Santa, but I also want to actually build the diorama. But yeah, that's basically and yeah, as Modifian says, it's a detail people won't look at. So it's people are just gonna look at it and they're gonna see the candy cane, they're gonna see that there are stripes. They're not gonna look at it and go, oh yeah, but the white part of the candy cane is a little pinkish to it, so you could have done a better job. In if people do that, I'm just gonna look at them and go ahead, make your own diorama. I don't know. So yeah, we have the small, you know, the guy with the candle. We have the lamp. I'm pretty happy with this, actually. This is yeah, I'm gonna call this a job well done. I think I've spent this stream being 2.5 hours, another stream at 2, and then some other. I think I've spent less than 10 hours doing all of this, which by my standards is a very fast way of doing it. Great and cohesive together, but they're supposed to be an incoherent, annoying bunch of something I probably shouldn't say while streaming. But yeah, no, it's fine. It's cool. Thank you for stopping by, Modifian. It's really great to see you again. And thank you to the rest of you who are also here. Nina, Ken, Mie, all the others. Oh, Mie is still here. Thank you, Mie. I will get back to M at the very latest next Wednesday. and we'll see how she turns out. Oh, and yeah, Modifian, these elves definitely clogged the toilets. They washed out all the presents they didn't want to wrap. They just got rid of all of that. Oh, we need the we also have the barrel, of course. There we go. I have some more random pieces of junk, like boxes and oh, I almost forgot about these as well. Teddy bears. And I don't think I've shown you these, Modifian. You're gonna get a laugh out of these. These ones are painted with fluorescent paints, which means that when I put them in the cave in the diorama and install UV lights inside the cave, probably shielded so they don't hit your eyes directly, then they're gonna be just bursting. I cannot finish that sentence in a good way. They're basically gonna light up like crazy in the UV light. If I can, adjust the LEDs properly and so on. So yeah, so we have this, the teddy bears, and we have the elves, and there's a small cave at the on top of the diorama where we have fluorescent mushrooms. Yeah, I mean, I kind of figured for these elves, that's gonna be how it is. I'm also, again, if time allows, I mean, once I have the core of the diorama finished, I'm gonna just start piling on extra effects. I have some plans for doing a ladder up some of the sides to make it less angular and square. Just making a small platform with a ladder going up. It kind of hides the shape of the actual rocks and cliffs around the elves. So it's gonna be little bits of detail around all of it, and that's going to be so much fun doing over the next couple of days. So once I have the major things, like I still need some soldering done with these horribly small wires, and it's really fiddly because it's not a lot of room, so I have to do it really close to the scenery, and then just hope everything fits inside of the Christmas tree, for instance. Once that's done, I'll be more sort of relaxed, because then it's actually the diorama as such is done and finished. Then the rest are just added bonuses that are not they're not necessary, they're optional. So you can just do it, I can not do it, I can try making the ladder. If it doesn't work, just chug it out and say, nah, no ladder. Anyway, I will make a video. I'll have finished and handed over the diorama before my next stream. So I will make a video hopefully over the weekend of the diorama and how I've taken pictures so throughout the process. I can hopefully make some kind of description of how I did the different things. Thank you for showing up and keeping me company and keeping me motivated. I really cannot stress how much that helps me getting these projects done. I don't stream to earn money or be a professional streamer. I stream because it's fun. It's fun to hang out with you guys. And it is actually a way of making myself paint way more than I usually do when I have these things. So thank you for your support. I will be back next week where we'll continue on M. And with the wonderful music of Adrian von Ziegler, I will say goodbye for now. Stay safe, have fun, and don't do anything I would do or wouldn't do or whatever. And also go check out Nina. She has a streaming. She streams Tuesdays and Thursdays, so that's tomorrow evening. I will not be able to join you. I am out racing Formula D cars. Board game Formula D is a Formula 1-ish board game. So yeah. Anyway, I'll go finish off the other things. Thank you for joining. I will see you next week.